Comesa bioprotectants, program, so that farmers can use biopesticides, to access European markets where chemicals are banned here and there. We have also developed the Comesa biotechnology and biosafety program, so that the issues of technologies of genomic editing, the use of GMO, which has been safe for the last 30 years, is being used. We have also developed the CEHA, the Comesa ESC Horticulture Accelerator, to make sure that we speed up the horticulture industry, which is roughly quite low.
Yeah, thank you, John. I'll still come back to you.
Yes.
I know you're talking about, you highlighted policy gaps as one of the issue affecting or bringing that variance. But again, I'm just wondering whether it has always been about policy. I think even you are highlighting policy and frameworks which are there. I tend to think probably is more than policy, it's about enforcement. How serious do we get at taking action or implementing all those policies that we develop? But I'm going to come back to you for a final wrap-up, because you see we are talking about agriculture, we are talking about food security, but I know our audience, we have also to mind their food security. We are standing in between them and their lunch. So I'll come back to you, but I just want to ask Deborah here, and as I come back to you, I'll still come back to you. I don't want you to exhaust that conversation about food. The more you talk about it, the more our stomachs start rumbling, rumbling, and lunch is just knocking. But I'll still come back to you. Deborah, it talks about policy gaps in so many areas, as also causing us that paradox between the imports, the food security, the heavy imports, vis-a-vis the potential that we have in the region. What are urgent actions and policy changes? I know you talk about policy changes, but sometimes we end up talking about reforms even before attempting to implement the existing policy. But from where you sit, what do you think we need to do in order to enhance food security in Comesa region? So he's talked about the need of policy, highlighted some of those action and responses that are being proposed. But again, we're talking what are the urgent actions. So I just wanted you to tie it down from the private sector also with him, and I'll still get back to him. Yeah. Thank you.
Now that's a great question, and often warrants a lengthy discussion. But in the interest of time, I'm going to keep this one brief. To enhance food security in Comesa, we do not need new declarations. We need decisive action, smart policy, and bold partnerships. The good news is we already know what works. The challenge now is doing it faster and at scale. First, government should create the right incentives for farmers and innovators to adopt these climate-smart practices and digital tools. Consider offering subsidies for climate-resilient seeds and sustainable inputs. Provide tax breaks and innovation grants for agri-tech startups. Invest in rural broadband and mobile connectivity so that even the most remote farmer is digitally included. Second, we've had many conversations about collaboration. Collaboration needs to be a default and not an exception. Public and private partnerships bringing together governments, companies, research institutions, and NGOs that can scale innovation and reach and enhance scale. At Bayer, for instance, we've seen that when private innovation meets public commitment, productivity and sustainability rise. Third, finance is the fuel of transformation. Smallholder farmers need credit and risk protection to invest confidently. We have a partnership, for example, with Pula Foundation on climate risk insurance. And this gives farmers a safety net to invest in better seed, fertilizers, and technology without fearing a total loss of drought. And last, regional integration is key, and we've talked about it before. COMESA countries must harmonize trade, seed certification, and market standards so that surplus production in one area can move freely across borders. A seed that is approved in one country should not be taking 2 years to be approved in another. So policy alignment is key. In short, supportive policies, catalytic partnerships, smart finance are the pillars, and when we align that, we will position Africa as a global agriculture powerhouse.
Thank you. You know, Deborah, sitting from where I sit, from the government, is always good whenever I listen to private sector saying government should. But let me flip the coin. What should private sector do?
So private sector should no longer, we shouldn't see private sector as a passive participant. We need to be an active engaging with government in order to enhance. Agriculture is critical. Smallholder farmers produce 70% of food supply on the continent. So we can no longer rely on aid. Private sector and government must come together to unlock this critical food security issue. So moving from a passive role to a more active engagement with government.
Well,
so we hope
yes,
to be invited on that table.
That's more reassuring. Let's clap for her, it's more reassuring. But before I give a wrap-up opportunities to the remaining panelists, I want to hear from the audience for any questions, and you can direct it to a specific, to an individual panel. There's a hand over there. I want to take a ball. I can see already 3 hands up, that side. But they're all men. I'm wondering whether that plenary will be gender sensitive. Where are the ladies also? Any hand from a lady? Which side? Perfect. So let's begin from, I've seen 2 hands from ladies. So we have 5 questions. So push the mic there. Let's raise your hands again.
Please raise up your hands so that
Raise up your hands.
See the microphone. How many questions are you taking?
I'm taking only 5.
5 questions. Have you identified them?
I saw they were, yes. Well, let's begin from there, from the other farther corner. There's a gentleman, you can just stand up over there. I can see you. So we have 3 men and 2 ladies from this side, and it was here. Okay, yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Oscar from the company Vedrasa. I'm here as a European buyer. It's really interesting to be here. Thank you once again for the invite. Yeah, I would like really to say for the smallholders to really push them to form cooperatives, because then they're not individuals anymore. Then they have much more negotiation power, so then they can start talking with trade delegations, banks, other private parties, joint buying, for example, fertilizers. But what struck me today was really interesting, and Ms. Deborah had some short words regarding this one. And it's about agriculture, about going to regenerative agriculture. So that is about giving back to the soil, and that makes production very healthy and valuable. And then you come also on the digitalization, because for example in Europe...
That sounds like a comment, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to say the data is really important. So I would say really to invest in those practices, and I think Africa will grow really strong and fast. So
Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Thank you very much to you, Chairperson, and the panelists. My name is Deborah Mbati, and my question is on the issue of the seeds. There's this debate about our traditional ways of storing the seeds for the next help us understand, like laymen, why can't we continue using our traditional seeds? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Daniel and Jiwa, you'll note that down for you. Next, please.
Yes, how are you? The panel and everyone here. I'm Muhammad Sharif Hussain, and my partner here is Sheikh Said from the county government. So mine is a question, is that if we come up with a system, are you guys ready to take it? And as I heard from you guys, there's a problem that you outlined, madam, that you want decisive actions and the program to be very fast so that we can be able to implement it. So actually for our company, we've been to Tanzania, Uganda, part of Ethiopia. We've done like 34 trips, and we've faced a lot of challenges in terms of forex, trading, like you can go the next day,
Okay.
dollar, the rates have already changed, so you end up losing like $200, $300 for your old truck, or there's a problem of price controlling. So we had a system that are you guys ready to take it from us, and so that we can benefit all of us as a nation, not just as personally or privately. We can collaborate, both private people and government people. We can work with the government officials everywhere so that we can be able to benefit everyone in these nations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. John Mukuka, kindly note that one. Note down. You didn't hear the question.
It's okay.
No, note it down. I will ask you because it's about systems. And they are saying they are having challenges. For example, trading across border. And I have a question on that which I'll be asking you. So I just wanted to note down this question. So when we come to wrapping up, I will tie it up for you to respond on it. So let's have okay, there, and then we get the lady from this end. And they
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. My name is Joshua Adem. I'm in the horticultural industry. And my question goes direct to, the lady's gone, I don't see her, Deborah. But I would like to ask the four gentlemen there. I've not heard of you talking about the indigenous crops which can be supplementing for the shortage which we have within our market. And also, I've heard one of you speaking much of the GMOs. The GMOs are also destroying our soil. How do we make our soil also healthier so that we can replace the GMOs and we go back to our indigenous crops to supplement for the GMO foods which are consumed in Africa? Thank you.
Thank you. Agriculture and the John still on the GMO. That one is yours. Thank you.
Good afternoon all. My name is Eunice Mutua, and I'm the MD for Select Fresh Produce Kenya Limited in Twende Sokoni, Africa. So my question goes to Dr. Daniel Jiwa and also Dr. Mukuka. Now that we are here together as sector members, please do share. I heard Dr. Mukuka was beginning to share an opportunity. Is it Heifer? Please highlight some of the opportunities you have for us SMEs. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Jel Liala, and my question goes, you only mentioned of youth, women, and MSME, but my question is, as a Gen Z investor and entrepreneur, how is COMESA supporting youth-led startups in accessing regional markets and financing, especially in technology, innovation, and digital trade? Thank you.
Thank you. All of you, I think, can take up, especially Agra. That question, Mushiri, you can also tackle it on financing. Then the last. But when I mention about youth and Gen Z, is it not the same thing? I was watching for them for financing. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Elizabeth Ritauma from the Ministry of Trade, Uganda. And I'll direct this to the Farmers Federation, and I'd like to hear from the has come out clear is the homogeneity across the value chains in specifically the Comesa region. And I'm well aware that when it comes to policy, the private sector expects every country to protect it. So in Uganda, if we have the maize, the farmers want us to protect them. In Kenya, the same story. So what advice would you give to government on policy to see how we can leverage on the value chains across the region and not have but more of looking on building synergies like one said earlier on. So I would really love to hear from private sector notes so that our policies can reflect something that doesn't build competition across the region, but build on the synergies across. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let's get down to questions now. Beginning with Dr. John Mukuka. You had two questions.
Did you capture that question? Yes.
One of the opportunities. Yeah.
Can I answer the two questions?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, the first one is the use of recycled seeds or indigenous seeds. There is nothing wrong to use seeds. But if you want to go hungry or for home consumption, you can go for indigenous seeds. But if we include technology, for example, the genomic editor I was talking about, you can get a gene from indigenous seeds so that it's adaptable for a wider, commercial market. And our interaction with the East African Farmers Federation, where we had an order from China to export 49 million metric tons of soya beans, and you cannot produce.
Those are just the ongoing session that has been dubbed Session 1 of Day 2 of the Comesa Summit. This is a business forum. All the policies and outcomes that are going to be discussed here by both public and private sector stakeholders are going to be presented to the heads of state in the course of this particular week. Remember, this has already been termed as the Nairobi Convention, so to speak, and some of the objectives is to identify steps to accelerate digital trade adoption and strengthen regulatory harmonization for investment promotion, as well as support free movement of business people and logistics information. The Nairobi Business Declaration 2025, the recommendations will be given, or rather handed over to the heads of state. That was a session that was chaired by none other than Susan Mangeni, that is a principal secretary in charge of State Department of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development. There, some of the questions that have been raised is the issue of capital, especially where MSMEs are concerned. With private sector, they are calling for more commitments from financial institutions to have blended finance schemes that target MSMEs and SMEs. There's also a consensus to pilot corridors for digital trade facilitation, with stakeholders who are in the panel there making more emphasis on matters of value addition to make Kenya's products especially more competitive when it comes to matters trade. This is session 1. When we come back in the afternoon, we're going to be talking about issues of trade, digital transformation in logistics and movement of business person, as well as digitization of trade and investment promotion, an aspect that has already been cited there by the chief guest this morning, who was none other than the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki. We bring this to a close and hand you back to Broadcasting House for normal programming. We'll be back in the afternoon session. I'm Regina Manyara. I hand you over to Broadcasting House.
And so on and so forth, you will be able to, to find out if any challenges within the system, able to know that. And then the other thing is that you also counter fake seeds. It will be easier because we have harmonized the standard operation procedure for the same. The other opportunity that I want to, that we have experienced in Comesa is that we had an order from Japan. Because in Comesa, every month it's raining, which means every day it's raining in COMESA countries. So we have been producing some seeds in one of the COMESA members and exporting to Japan because of the harmonized system that we have. Those are opportunities. And some countries where they have cold temperatures, they're able to produce from here. Some Irish potatoes right now are being produced here in Kenya, in Zambia, exported to Netherlands.
Yeah.
Because in winter they might not do that. They will need controlled environment, to produce those Irish potato seed for production of the crop in summer. So they're producing here in COMESA and exporting to the Netherlands or to Europe, to Japan, and other countries.
Thank you. Thank you, Daktari. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but I want to encourage Eunice, from where you are, you need to get his contact so that you can continue this conversation on opportunities. I know we are limited with time, but thank you so much. Let's clap for Daktari. And now, Dr. Njiwa, I want to tie the question from Jane. Jane, the lady here, who is worried about the youth, the young people. And with this question, which I'm going to ask you as you wrap up, we have 65% of COMESA population is under the age of 35, could even be more. What digital financial innovation are most effective in attracting youth to agriculture while ensuring they can compete in the regional and international value chains? 2 minutes.
No, thanks a lot, and thanks for a number of questions that came up, and we can continue the conversations over lunch. But this conversation around youth and getting attracted to agriculture, sometimes we narrowly look at it as just a technology issue, maybe a digital issue, but I think at the core, the youth as interested in profits and incomes, as even commercial and large businesses, and addressing inefficiencies in the supply chain or competitiveness issues is as beneficial to the youth as it is for the large businesses. And I think this is an important takeaway to note. In terms of the digital innovations that have come, I think in the financing sector, and we've seen quite a number across the whole chain, and perhaps the question we should be worried about is, are we pushing enough? Is there critical mass of investment in some of these innovations? Right from payment systems. We heard earlier from the CS talking about M-Pesa, such an impactful innovation perhaps of the last century in payments and farmers. And we're looking at issues to do with even credit scoring nowadays, because you have to know your customer, know your farmer in order to provide credit to them. There's technology, digital technology that's being used. We're looking at digital trading platforms, the likes of Twiga Foods and what have you. Issues to do with carbon finance or insurance, weather index insurance using satellite technology. All of that are opportunities that can actually attract the youth to generate income, but also to join into the sector. Pay as you go innovations. I think Sun Culture, who are in irrigation here in Kenya, providing asset financing solutions to farmers. So those are some of the technology that can be available for this. I just wanted to quickly address the issue of opportunities that, for example, AGRA is providing. We're working with MasterCard Foundation, and we are targeting the youth in our programming, and we're looking to create employment over the next 3-4 years. And we are happy to engage SMEs that are youth-led. We're happy to work with businesses that are employing youth or women, both in the domestic and regional markets, but also with FCDO in addressing the question that the gentleman raised on trade, cross-border trade, We are working in trade facilitation investments, as well as with COMESA, to remove, NTBs, but also to address standards issues, including, facilitating mutual recognition arrangements under COMESA. Those are some of the investments and initiatives that can actually help open up the markets. Sorry, I see you're looking at me, to stop me. There's a few things I wanted to say, but I'll stop there. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I hope we are going to share your contact so that, again, Jane and a number of young people who are in this space can also get to interact with you further. Now, coming to women, Mushiri, I come to you. The lady raised two questions. One was youth, one was women. Youth has already been answered, but how about the women?
Thank you.
So the women comprises of over 60% of COMESA's agricultural workforce, but only own 50% of agricultural land. So how can digital platform address gender disparities, increase MSMEs' access to market finances and agricultural information? In 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. I wanted to highlight something that was mentioned about cooperatives.
Yes,
The need
cooperative.
to have cooperatives. I have visited a cooperative in India that has 55 million members, the population of Kenya. It's actually involved in fertilizer production and has 9 sites. I visited a cooperative in Brazil that has last year lent out $1 billion to all its members. We have a member cooperative in Ethiopia that is the largest exporter of coffee in the continent. So it tells you that we need not to belittle the power of cooperatives. We need to look at how we can amalgamate a lot of these cooperatives to form giant cooperatives. We need to push for the law that I talked about so that we can have multi-country cooperatives because they're actually going to transform agriculture. When it comes to women, it's the same thinking. Women play a huge role when it comes to nutrition and food security at the household level. But because of their structure, their literacy levels, they are locked out from information, finance, and all those things. We need to figure out how do we actually organize women into associations. We have agribusiness associations for women. We need to have cooperatives for women as well, because we need to figure out how these women, when they're in these kind of institutions, we can actually be able to provide all these digital services for them. And like my previous speaker talked about opportunities. There are many opportunities out there. We've done studies around opportunities by government for women, by development partners for women, like the MasterCard program. Even banks have loan products that are targeting women. So there are a lot of these things, but they can only be able to access them when they're in a group. They have bargaining power. They can be able to access. Some of the ticket sizes are not very small. And in those arrangements, you can be able to deliver training to them, because then they're all, well organized. Thank you.
Right. O'Brien, you just have to give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes, because whoever constituted this panel put me in a very difficult situation. I have 2 of my officers here. They should be the one asking me questions, but I need to be fair to them and make sure that they wrap up well, isn't it? So I have the CEO. The CEO for warehouse receipt system. I just want you, we're talking about how do we manage post-harvest losses. We're talking about technology and then leveraging on the blockchain technology to enable real-time tracking of stored commodities and their quality. How can warehouse receipt systems integrate with digital trade platforms and commodity exchanges to create seamless value chains from farm to market? And what do you think are the regulatory harmonization that is needed across COMESA for cross-border recognition of warehouse receipts? It's a mouthful, but I know you can really sum it up in 2 minutes so that my good friend Tito can then take a share of 2 minutes and we wrap up with 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you. The blockchain technologies that we are talking about is anchored on structured physical systems. So what warehouse receipt system is doing is that we already have modules that is linking from the farm to the market. We have, for example, farmers, organized farmers who register to register with warehouse operators, and they are given unique identifier numbers. And once the farmer has registered, that depositor then can be traced all the way to the marketplace, giving that farmer full visibility. So you can imagine that the same data that sits on a blockchain-enabled trade, a buyer from, for example, Zambia can confidently buy maize from Kenya. But what do we need to do as COMESA? One, we need investors in this space. We are calling for investors in cold storage facilities. We are calling for investors in managing warehouses within the region. Also, we are also calling that we have common data and certification standards for COMESA, mutual recognition for warehouse receipts across borders, and we have aligned financial and trade regulations so that a receipt issued in one country can be financed in another country. So what happens when we have that traceable blockchain? Then the word blockchain stops just being a buzzword, but it becomes a backbone of real cross-border agriculture trade that empowers smallholder farmers and creates a true regional integration in practice.
Thank you. And lastly, but of course not the least, to Benjamin Tito, we just want to understand how COMESA member states can harmonize agricultural data standards. And there was a question by Elizabeth talking about private sector and the advocacy on protection and the effect this has to the regional integration. Because on one side, we need to be protected here, but we also want to trade. So if each country in COMESA was to protect their space, then what happens? I'll want you, coming from the government side, the Minister of Agriculture, to tackle that, but then also help us also to underscore on how, sorry, just a minute. Yes, got you. How we can harmonize agricultural data standards and digital certification processes to facilitate seamless trade in the regional agricultural market, and how we can enhance and improve the regional food balance sheet, and also talking as a policy actor.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this question. I know I'm standing between lunch and the answering of the question, so I'll be very, very brief. But we need to do a few things to be able to harmonize these standards. And one of the key issues that we need to develop is a common vocabulary. Most of the time, the definitions that we use at the trading levels are as various as we are. So if we can be able to adopt a common vocabulary, then that means we can be able to mean what we mean by meaning it. And I think that is quite clear. Then we can also have a standardized data formats so that the data that we provide is available in a particular format so that every individual can be able to have access in an open way. We also need to have a uniform platforms for data so that data that is shared by agency A or country A is similar and fits into, because we are talking of a regional block, trading block, that is COMESA. Then data governance is quite important, and I enumerated this in the discussion that we've just had, but we can also leverage on the data that is already harmonized because we are not building from scratch. There is already some available information and data that can be leveraged and built on. But as we wind up, then we need, as COMESA, to do a few things to be able to improve the regional food balance sheet. And I want to start by saying that 50% of what we produce ends up as waste. So if we can be able even to manage the 50% of what is wasted, we would not be having issues of food, lack of food in Africa. And this is important. So there is a lot of information that we need to do, and part of it is investing in infrastructure from the roads, from the cold storage value chains and the rest, and promote technologies that are resilient, including some of the traditional ways of storage, because we don't necessarily have to go it the highway, because we know majority of producers, close to 98% are smallholder farmers. So even when we are leveraging them on technologies that they could not be able to afford, then we also need to look at traditional ways of preservation and taking care of our food. Then the extension service delivery mechanism has also been a challenge, and I throw this to all of us to be able to provide quality extension services. Note that not all those that are in the digital platform are qualified. And most of the time, because of the Internet of Things, and we are able to get a lot of information, we need also to question the source of this information, because we may end up doing the wrong things courtesy of the Internet that is available. We also need to strengthen food security measures and foster coordinations among the regions. And what this means is, if we can have an harmonized HS coding for all the products that we are dealing in, then it becomes a little bit easy, because at times we all lump these as others, and that can easily help COMESA to be able to integrate and open the borders for trade. There should be no difference between produce that is originating in Kenya and landing itself in either Rwanda, Uganda, and our neighbors, Tanzania.
Thank you.
I stop there.
Thank you, Tito. Can we clap for Tito? So, well, good people, we've heard from the vision holders, practitioners, actors from across, and experts from across the private sector as well as the public institutions. The conversation has just begun. Like I said, we are just 18 years old. We are beginning to learn the world. We're beginning to find ourselves, to understand ourselves. So let's keep this conversation going.
Thank you.
So that we see how do we leverage based on digitization and deepen our regional value chains for sustainable and inclusive growth. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to join in this conversation.
Let's put our hands together for the team. Such a beautiful work, though they have extended the time. And I know that food is ready. That's a very important announcement. And as they take photos, my colleague, Betty Kiptum, will be guiding us on the large program. And then we'll see you in the afternoon. Please.
Thank you very much. I would like to request our honorable ministers and ambassadors who are at the front seats. They will be guided by the ushers to the VIP marquee at the eating area. The rest of the delegates, kindly find your way to the tent that is next to the exhibition area. That is where you took lunch yesterday. That is where we are having our lunch today. So kindly make your way to the lunch area. For our honorable ministers and the delegates at the front, you shall be led to the VIP eating area. Thank you very much, and enjoy your lunch. Asante. We need to get back to the room by 2 p.m. Sorry, I forgot to tell you this. By 2 p.m. we need to be back. So kindly, let's hurry up on taking our lunch and get back on time. Thank you.
Thank you. We see you at 2 p.m. Ready for the next session. And merci beaucoup. Enjoy your lunch.